Hey everyone, welcome back to Learning Lords of Middle-earth episode, I guess we'll call it number 4. So I want to introduce Gothmog to you first. He is one of 2 of the lesser minions, anyway. They call them lesser minions because for the purpose of bringing in Gandalf the White, they don't count. So, yeah. Interestingly, I forgot to mention it before, but the Chief of the Ringwraiths also doesn't count as a full minion, so... there's a Gandalf denial strat anyway, where if you get the Chief out and you get either Gothmog or the Balrog, then you're still kind of up to 9 dice, and the free people still can't bring in Gandalf the White. But obviously Gothmog's and Balrog's dice aren't the same as a full regular die. Anyway, the same way that, Gandalf, Galadriel, and Elrond's dice aren't as good as a regular free people's die. So that's not Gothmog. That's the alternate mouth. Here's Gothmog. So he can come into play if Sauron is at war, and you could spend a muster die to put him into play. So what he does is not only does he add his die to the pool, which has 2 musters, 2 army movements, an eye, and a card draw, but his ability is that this army can be anywhere on the board, and you can, let's say you have, you can spend a muster to either add a regular to this army, or you may spend that muster to upgrade one of these to an elite. So that could be handy anyway for reinforcing a siege. I'm also a big fan of getting Gothmog early if you also have the Chief of the Ringwraiths, because I think his die is pretty strong. The downside, of course, this game is really good at, anything you do, there's a chance it helps your opponent somehow. Well, not anything, but a lot of the time anyway. So to get him, you have to have Sauron at war, which makes it possible for the Elven Keepers to come in, right? Galadriel and Elrond. So anyway, that's Gothmog. I think this is short enough. I might as well cover the Balrog too while I'm at it. So let's just quick undo everything right there. Okay, so the Balrog comes in Moria. Where's the Balrog? There's our Balrog. And he brings in his own die into play. So he is a lot more intricate, and he's a lot more helps your enemy and helps you at the same time in different ways. So as soon as the Balrog comes in, you get to also muster a Sauron elite unit. So again, this is for the price of 1 muster die. Don't need either Shadow Nation to be at war, so that helps too. But he also brings both the elves and the dwarves down a step to war. So if you're thinking about rushing the Dew line, bringing in the Balrog too early can actively make your life worse. Or similarly, rushing Lorien and Rivendell. Anyway. He brings in a couple other big advantages, though. If the Fellowship declares or is revealed into or past the Balrog, you get to draw an extra hunt tile. So, legit, if the Fellowship is at 5 movement and they decide to declare into Lorien past the Balrog, you get to draw a hunt tile. And resolve as per usual. Reveals don't reveal the Fellowship from this, though. But a huge part of this, though, is that an eye, if it draws an eye result, let's just put that back and draw an eye, it kills the guide. So the guide and the Balrog both die together. Very thematically if it's Gandalf going past, right? So this is also an interesting way of how you can help your enemy or harm your enemy at the same time. Because if you're bringing in the Balrog just to help them get rid of Gandalf and get Gandalf the White, that's not great, But if Gandalf's already gone, then I'm a very big fan of getting the Balrog, because then you're threatening to kill Strider, which is a much bigger deal. Like, there's no Strider the White that comes back from the dead, Interestingly, another bit of counterplay then is that sometimes the free people, like if I'm on Strider and I'm at 3 movement and the Balrog is there, I very much would like to bring Galadriel into play first, because her ability to spend her ring to cancel an eye draw can be used against the Balrog. So if you get revealed past the Balrog and they draws an eye and it would kill Strider, you can use Galadriel's ring to yeet that eye into the hunt removed pile and draw a new tile and hopefully not lose Strider that way. The Balrog's also very powerful for combat. So after the Balrog's die has, I'll just roll it a couple times till we get it. There it was. All right. Come on. There it is. Okay. Has a Balrog result. So you can spend that to activate the Balrog, and then he can... wants me to view the hand first before I can... There we go. Okay. So now the Balrog's active. So now with a character die, he can run around the map as if his level is 2. So he could run out to South Anduin Vale now that he's active. So he can chase the Fellowship, actually, and you can get more than 1 tile draw out of him. If it's not an eye and he doesn't die, then you could get, in theory, like even 3 or 4. However, the Balrog is kind of vulnerable. So not only could the
free peoples kill him in combat, like if there's an orc with him, these elves could come and the Balrog joins with the orc and defends, and if the orc dies, then the Balrog dies too. But also, if he's outside of Moria, the free peoples may spend a Will of the West die to deactivate him. If he's deactivated outside of Moria, he just dead. You can actually deactivate him inside Moria, but then he's still alive. He survives it anyway. I haven't seen anyone do that, though. Yeah, it doesn't come up a lot. Interestingly, Gandalf can also pick off the Balrog without needing Will of the West. If Gandalf, either version, is in the same region as the Balrog, you may spend a character die to just kill the Balrog, and Gandalf survives. So that can be a little dice expensive, so it might be worth it or it might not be worth it. Like sometimes you just really need to get the Balrog off the Fellowship. I've done that a couple times anyway. But right, the Balrog's strength in combat. So the Balrog has leadership of 3. You'll see how that went up to 4. But he also provides an extra combat strength of 2. So that makes him far and away the most powerful individual unit in terms of combat stats. So the next best is Aragorn, who provides extra combat strength of 1 and leadership of 2. So anyway, that could help a lot for like besieging Lorien, and you want to blow it up in one shot. So this army can press down into the ground and be almost out of regulars. Like all these regulars can be dead. You're still rolling 5 dice here. Sorry, not quite. You'd be rolling 4 dice here anyway, because he adds 2 extra combat strength. So that could be good for a sudden sprint take, which is very handy when you're trying to take out a place like Lorien, where Galadriel, if the elves are at war, can keep on mustering elves into the stronghold, even when the stronghold is under siege. I'm just realizing, I think I forgot to mention that when I was covering the Keepers before. That's Galadriel's extra power, is that she can muster elves into Lorien even when they're under siege. Elrond's is that he gives every elven elite 1 leadership. So not only is he 2 leadership, but he makes these 2 elites both also worth 1 leadership. So you'll see how the leadership is 5 there. Anyway, okay, I think I've officially gone longer than I usually want to go for these lesson videos. So that is all. See you next time. Bye.